Hi students, good morning to all. Welcome back to the Google Classroom of Class 7 History Chapter 2 New Kings and Kingdoms. How are you children? Okay. I hope all of you have studied the previous topics and chapter of this history very well and you all performed very well in your test paper. In the last class, we have learnt about the tracing changes over 1,000 years of this medieval period and how the medieval history started. In this chapter, we would focus on the arrival of new kings and kingdoms. So children, today we will study different topics like the emergence of new dynasties and the administration of these new kingdoms.
Children, this is map 1 of your textbook, and this map 1 shows the major ruling dynasties in different parts of the subcontinent between the 7th and 12th centuries. Predominantly, three kingdoms were popular in that period. First one was Gurjara Pratiharas. Gurjara Pratiharas. Then the second one was Rashtrakutas. The Rashtrakutas. And the last one was the Palas. So children, what is our chapter's name? New Kings and Kingdoms. Medieval period consists of early medieval and later medieval. Early medieval period from 8th century to 12th century and later medieval period from 12th century to 18th century. What are the main contents of this chapter? The emergence of new dynasties, administration in the kingdoms, precious and land grants, warfare for wealth, a closer look of the Cholas from Urayur to Tanjavur, splendid temples and bronze sculpture, agriculture and irrigation, the administration of the empire. Children, between the 7th and 12th centuries, many new dynasties like Gurjara Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas, Palas, Cholas, and Chahamanas emerged. Once more, between the 7th and 12th centuries, many new dynasties like Gurjara Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas, Palas, Cholas, and Chahamanas emerged. So, children, who were the new powers? How they become powerful? The emergence of new dynasties. By the 7th century, there were huge landowners or various chiefs in different regions of the subcontinent. Existing rulers frequently recognized them as their samantas or subordinates. So they are considered as their samantas or subordinates. They were required to bring presents for the rulers or overlords and furnish them with the military help. Some such kingdoms were those of Rashtrakutas, Chalukya, Gurjara Pratiharas, and so on. Rich landlords or warrior chiefs became subordinates of the kings and were given the title of Samantas. So these rich landlords or warrior chiefs became the subordinates of the king and they were given the title of Samantas. So they became Samantas and were expected to bring gifts for their king or overlords, had to be present at their courts and would provide them military support. So they provide military support to these lords. With more power and wealth, Samantas became Mahasamanta or Mahamantaleshwar. So, after gaining more power and wealth, these Samantas means rich landlords or various chiefs, they became Mahasamanta or Mahamantaleshwar, and some of them became free from their overlords. Dandi Durga, who was a Rashtrakuta chief, performed Hiranyagarbha ritual to become a Kshatriya and then he overthrew his Chalukya overlord. So what do you mean by Hiranyagarbha? Dandi Durga, who was a Rashtrakuta chief, performed this Hiranyagarbha ritual to become a Kshatriya, and then he overthrew his Chalukya overlord. In spite of being Brahmanas, Kadampa Mayura Sharman and Gurjara Pradihara Harichandra built their kingdoms in Karnataka and Rajasthan. Children, look at this picture. Figure number 1 of your textbook. Wall relief from Cave 15, Ellora, showing Vishnu as Narasimha, the man lion. It is a work of the Rashtrakuta period. Administration in the kingdoms. Many of these new kings adopted high sounding titles such as Maharaja, Adiraja. What is the meaning of this Maharaja and Adiraja? Great king or overlord of kings. Tribhuvana Chakravartin, the lord of three worlds, and so on. So the lords at peak received huge titles like Maharaja, Adiraja, Tribhuvana Chakravartin, etc. So these rulers imparted energy to their sambandas and with the relationship of workers, brokers, and brahmanas. These assets were utilized to back the Lord's foundation and build sanctuaries and fortifications. The functionaries for gathering income were enlisted from compelling families. In each of these states, resources were obtained from the producers, that is, peasants, cattle keepers, artisans, who were often persuaded or compelled to surrender a part of what they produced. Do you understand? A part of what they produced to surrender the lords. Sometimes these were claimed as rent due to a lord who asserted that he owned the land. Revenue was also collected from the traders. The revenue was also collected from the traders. These resources to finance the king's establishment as well as for the construction of temples and forts. And they were also used to fight wars which were in turn expected to lead the acquisition of wealth in the form of plunder and access to land as well as trade routes. The functionaries for collecting revenue were generally recruited from influential families, and positions were often hereditary. Hereditary means from the father to the son. So these functionaries for collecting revenue were generally recruited from the influential families, and positions were often hereditary. This was true about the army as well. In many cases, close relatives of the king held these positions, like the revenue collector, etc.
Let us conclude today's session by recollecting all the concepts. Many dynasties emerged after the 7th century. Predominantly, three kingdoms were popular. Which are they? The Gurjara Pratiharas, the Rashtrakutas, and the Palas. So children, please note that the corresponding URL, notes of the lesson and test paper are also attached along with this video. Make use of all these available resources, study well and attend the test paper without fail. Thank you.